Good morning. It is Monday, June 29th at about 6:15 in the morning. And my name is Larry Cedar. Hang on one second. Yeah, good. And I'm back with you for another session on scanning, spelled Sqanning. Scanning, an invented word signifying the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. Repeat that, the incremental release muscular tension. Squeeze your hands together, release. To achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. The release of muscular tension is the pathway through which we travel to this more relaxed, calm, centered, balanced state. All we do with scanning is release muscular tension. There's no other mental process. You'll never need to read a book about scanning. There's nothing complex about it. All you're doing is moving through the body, through the muscular zones of the body, finding pockets of muscular tension and releasing it. That's it. The more you practice, the better you will get at it. This concept of scanning, as described by me, is based on the teachings of a man named Thaddeus Golas, G-O-L-A-S. He wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, in which he divides the universe into two basic forces: contraction, squeeze your hands together, and expansion, release. Everything. Everything you see, think, do, feel is either in a state of contraction or expansion, and that includes yourself. You move through states of contraction and expansion throughout your life, and if you have a expansion-contraction continuum, you are either more expanded or more contracted or balanced, which is an equal amount of both. And if you begin to look at your life through that prism of expansion-contraction, you'll begin to recognize when you yourself are in a more contracted state, which can be very useful. If you're a chess player, and you've learned all the basic openings and moves, that is a contraction. You've studied it, you've memorized it, you use it in a competitive game, that is a contracted situation. That's what allows it to exist. And so it's very useful. Contraction is the stuff of life. The problem is when we become overly contracted. And you've heard the expression, the genius went mad. Well, a lot of times we become so obsessed with our own thoughts and formulas and ideas and what Thaddeus Golas called structures, that they actually begin to become a cage which surrounds us and limits us and forces us to go inward and eventually lose our mind because we're no longer dealing with reality. We become so caught up in our own structure. So you want to pull back from being overly contracted. That's why I designed this technique, and that's what I personally use it for, and that's what I recommend you try. Now, how do I know if I'm contracted? Well, at the end of a hard work week, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're tense, you want to go to the bar and have a drink. You are contracted, and you crave expansion. You crave relief. Alcohol is a chemical expansion. It's a way of manipulating your body through chemicals to release. That's why it feels so good. However, it has side effects, as we all know. Detrimental side effects in many cases. Same thing with smoking a joint. I'm tense, I'm worried, I'm overthinking, I'm physically racked with tension or pain. I need something to help me relax, which is expansion. So I will reach out to various external forces to help me expand. The great thing about scanning is you no longer have to reach out to anything external. You're no longer dependent on an external form of expansion, device for expansion. You have this capability within yourself. What is that capability? The ability to release muscular tension. 3, 2, 1, release. And it seems so simple, and yet when you go to start, you'll be amazed at how difficult it can be to let go of all your thoughts and ideas and plans and identity and career, to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, an hour, to let go of it all through muscular tension, because that's where muscular tension takes you to a place of release, and just experience the sense of nothingness. It can be very challenging and also very rewarding. So we're going to do that today. We're going to move through the muscular zones, as I always do, and we're going to release muscular tension until we move the dial from a contracted to an expanded state, because you can't contract and expand at the same time. Physically impossible to squeeze your hands together and release that tension at the same time. Any move towards expansion is a movement away from contraction. So no matter how small, no matter how incremental that muscular release, it is of great value. And the better you get at scanning, the more disciplined you become at staying with it, the further you'll be able to move that dial. And I want to start with an analogy which keeps popping up in my mind as I'm practicing this, and I've mentioned it before, and that if you think of yourself as a block of wood floating down a river that comes upon a boulder sticking out of that riverbed, if you're a block of wood, you will slam up against that rock. There's no other way to negotiate it except impact. You can say you may go around, yes, but let's say it's so big you can't go around. So what do? you slam up against it, because a rock is highly contracted. It's solid. The bringing together of materials to form this solid, impermeable block of wood. So if you are a contracted person, life becomes difficult, because everything you come up against, you slam up against, because you become so solid through acquisition of your political, religious beliefs, your fears, your ideas, your identity, your career, your system that has allowed you to survive has become so dense that it makes moving through life a struggle. If you become more permeable, if you expand and open up, let's say as opposed to a block of wood, you are a lump of sea foam. You ever been to the beach and you've seen foam on the water? Let's say you're a lump of sea foam. Now you look like a solid object, but if that sea foam comes across that rock, what does it do? It goes around it, it goes over it, it negotiates it with ease. So you want to become more permeable. You want to keep your structures. You want to understand how you conduct yourself in your life, but at any given moment you want to balance that with the ability to become permeable, accessible, agreeable, at peace. So that's what scanning does. Brings you to a more permeable, open, expanded place until you are centered. So let's begin. Start by taking a deep breath, which is by nature expansive. The lungs expand, and then sit for a few moments in stillness and silence. What we've done is stopped doing. Stillness is the opposite of doing, and silence is the opposite of speech and thought. So we immediately, as we leave the gate, we start expanding. Take a deep breath. And sit for a moment in stillness and silence. Now, this is a perfect example of scanning. The first 5 minutes of this session I spent non-stop talking. Talking, words, thoughts are structures, contractions. Descriptions, ideas, concepts, these are all structures. These are all contractions. We brought together these ideas in order to convey them to you. The minute I stopped talking, I entered a different space. No ideas, no words, no expectations, nothing. I went from a contracted state to an expanded state. What did that require? Letting go. So that's all we're going to be doing, is letting go and seeing where that takes you. We're going to move through the muscular zones of the body. I have divided my body into 8 muscular zones. You can do whatever you like. The idea is to isolate certain areas of the body so you can concentrate on releasing the muscular tension in that area. It's easier than trying to relax the whole body at once. We start with zone 1, the face. Look in the mirror if it helps so you can actually see it. On my count, release all the muscular tension in your face. 3, 2, 1, and release. You see that kind of slackening. That sensation of is scanning. That's all it is. Familiarize yourself with that sensation, with that feeling of 3, 2, 1, and release. Become a connoisseur of muscular release. The more you practice scanning, the more of an expert, more of a connoisseur you will be, and the easier it will be to attain this release. The difficulty in scanning is starting. We tend to walk around in a fairly contracted state. We don't want to let go of that. We're, as they say, keeping it together. Our ideas, our thoughts, our career, our name, our goals, our tasks for the day, our obstacles, our relationships. We have all that in our mind, in our heart. We're holding it together. What scanning asks you to do is let all of that go, if only for a moment. You say, well, that's difficult. Well, no, we're going to do it through a very simple process, muscular release. The muscles will guide you into a state of expansion, which will in turn affect your mind, which will also become quiet. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Because the muscles can only do one of two things, contract or expand. They are the perfect metaphor. They are the perfect binary example of what we are doing. We're going from a place of contraction, squeeze your hands together, to a place of expansion, release, 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 release. Take a deep breath. Stillness and silence. We've already begun our journey now, so note any changes you feel as you move into a more expanded state. They can be fear, they can be exhilaration. Just notice that you are moving, you're transforming your state of being, and see what it feels like, even on a very minor scale. Again, zone 1, the face, 3, 2, 1, and release. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll smile, like I'll make my muscles work. 3, 2, 1, and release. So now we've begun in earnest. Zone 2 is the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. On the count, you're focusing your attention on that zone, assessing where you are at on the contraction-expansion continuum, sensing, detecting any muscular tension that you can release, and then on the snap, turning off the power to those muscles, which allows them to slacken and let go. The top of the head, 3, 2, 1, here we go, and release. That slight shift, that slight change in the muscular state is scanning. That's all we're doing. Releasing muscular tension. You've learned everything you need to know about scanning. All you need to do now is practice. Experiment. Explore what it is to bring yourself into a more expanded state. And you'll experience all kinds of feelings. I experience a great deal of resistance every time I start. I'm contracted by nature, thinking, worrying, doing, always. It's habitual. It's also the key to success in many ways, but we can become overly contracted, and that's when we need to pull back and expand. Zone 2, again, the top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. Moving on to zone 3, the back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. I like to think of zone 3 as a big wide rubber band stretched across the back of my head, and on the snap, I let it go, and it all slackens. So it's stretched across, release. Release, release, release. I always say, when you're scanning in your chair, don't worry about posture. I know posture is very important in certain forms of meditation and yoga and certain practices. Don't worry about that. I encourage slouching. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you're letting your body go. You're letting go of anything the body feels it needs to do to, as I said, keep it together. You're becoming nothing but just a blob, in effect. That feeling of just zero effort is what we're moving towards. A place where there's nothing you need to achieve, there's nothing you need to hold on to, there's no position you need to take. You just need to be. If you've ever seen a dog or a cat sleeping on a couch, they are completely relaxed. There's not you could lift up their paw and it'll just drop. They just completely let go. And that's what we're seeking, is complete release. The back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. So we did 3 zones which kind of are in concert with each other. And you'll begin to feel that as you release one part of your body, you may feel another part also relax. As the body picks up on where we're going, it starts to take on that same state as the area you're working on. So allow that to happen. Zone 4 is the neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. And if you ever find yourself going, I can't sense that area, I don't know how to release the muscles in that area. Well, sure you do. You're just unfamiliar with it. So if you ever need to be reminded of what muscular release feels like, squeeze your hands together, 3, 2, 1, release. And there are feelings that are associated with the release. Sometimes it's tingling, sometimes it's throbbing. As you release the musculature, the veins have more room, the arteries have more room, the blood flows more freely, the nerves are freer to do their job, which is feel. You might feel tingling, you might feel emotion. These are all signs that you have begun to expand and flow more freely. If you think of yourself as a vessel, a tube, and you're constricted, as you release, everything flows more freely. And again, you become more permeable. The ultimate form of expansion would be to actually move through things, you know, like on Star Trek. you become so infinite in your particles. You become so much space that you can literally move through things. And of course, that's highly unlikely on this planet. But when you die and turn to dust, you do become that permeable. Your dust can pass through anything. So you're moving in that direction. And you will find the side benefit is that as you become less solid, you can actually move through life with less conflict. You maneuver through things, around things. You flow like water over a rock because you are more permeable. You'll find your mind is not as clouded with thoughts. It's not as dense with ideas that force you to slam up against things. I always say that in today's world, and you know, probably through all history, everyone has they have a position, they have an identity, they have a political system, they have a religious system, and the more convinced they are that that is the way to go, the more solid they become in their belief system, the less able they are to negotiate with other human beings who have their own systems, and so we end up slamming up against each other. And what Thaddeus says, ultimately, when you come up against an obstacle that you cannot move through or around, what is your choice? Your only choice is to destroy it. So we seek to destroy each other now rather than open ourselves up, become more permeable and accepting, and see how we can negotiate with each other as human beings, accepting of each other's belief systems, maintaining our own, but managing to work together through around each other. So it just makes life, I won't necessarily say easier. Life will always be a challenge, but it makes it more negotiable. You don't feel as buffeted by life. Zone 4 is the neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now, you may not have even been aware that you were holding tension in certain parts of your body. That's always amazing to me. I'll think, I don't need to scan today. I feel pretty good. And I'll start and I'll go, oh, hang on a second. I had no idea I was holding my neck muscles. I was holding my shoulder muscles. So we can deceive ourselves. We can fool ourselves. Sometimes we'd rather not think about it. This is a way of confronting your state of being and dealing with it. The shoulders are zone 5, 3, 2, 1. Let it drop and release. And again, the shoulders, let them drop, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now, I will say in all honesty, my speaking about scanning as I'm scanning is counterproductive. Because when you're scanning, you don't want to use structures like words and thoughts and ideas. You want to be free of all that. You simply want to release muscular tension. It's a necessary evil for instructional purposes. When I scan, I don't say anything. I don't move. That's why I put these videos up to explain, to review the concept, and then I delete them fairly soon afterwards, because no one should get caught up in the idea of scanning, or the name even, or a book about it, or a class about it. No one should. I always say, if you ever see me and you mention scanning, I'll probably say, I don't know what you're talking about, because as they say in Fight Club, the first rule of scanning is don't talk about scanning, because talking is a structure. Better take that time and actually scan. Release. Zone 5, again, the shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. The other wonderful thing about scanning is it's a path of discovery. The reason I come on and do these sessions is because every morning and every evening I scan for an hour, and then I have revelations come to me about the process, which I like to share, because it is a learning process. I mentioned yesterday the Japanese tea ceremony, which is a very ritualistic procedure through serving tea. And they go, well, why is it so sacred? Well, because through ritual, through the repetition of the same steps and processes, you learn about yourself. As you do it, you notice that it feels different than yesterday. Why? What am I dealing with now? What am I having to confront now through this process that I didn't have to confront yesterday? So it allows you to reflect on your state of being. So it's a discipline, and it requires patience, but it really pays off, because we've already moved the dial from a contracted space, perhaps where we started, to where we are now, even if it's just 1 degree. Zone 6 is what I call the plate of armor, the chest, the stomach, the front of the waist. These are all areas where we hold muscular tension. We hold muscular tension as a defense mechanism to protect ourselves from the obstacles and challenges in life. Emotionally, physically, we hold, we protect, we hold. And so now you're taking a moment to let go of all that, so that you don't become so contracted that you're solid, impermeable, immovable. Plate of armor, chest, stomach, front of the waist, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. And you want to feel that shift. The snap is the turning off of the power to those muscles, which, whether you are conscious of it or not, but you are now, you were holding, and you want to go turn off the power. A muscle without power goes slack. That's why being tense, being contracted is exhausting, because you're having to exert energy to keep it together. When you let go of that and say, I'm just going to be, as I said, a sleeping dog or cat exerts no energy. They just exist. You find yourself having more energy throughout the day because you haven't used so much of it just trying to walk 1 foot in front of the other. You're actually saying, I'm only going to use the necessary energy. Again, these are deeply ingrained habits. Muscular contraction is deeply ingrained. I'm 70 years old. I've been doing this for 7 decades. Since I was a baby, I learned to tense up when something frightened me, when I had a challenge, when I had to face something, It's habitual. Contraction is the solution to many problems. You do have to tense up. You do have to get ready. Prepare yourself. You do have to work out. Be physically strong. Negotiate with people in relationships and in work. You do have to do it. It's constructive. But there's many, many moments in life where you don't need to be doing that, and you can afford to let go. So you're going to learn to take those moments so that you can bring yourself into a more expanded, centered, balanced place. Zone 7, now we're getting into the two most important zones. That's the pelvis and the feet. Zone 7, you go down the back and into the pelvis. Now again, these might be areas you don't consciously think of. I don't take much time during the day to think about how my pelvis is doing or how my feet are doing. This is what you're doing. You're building an awareness, a consciousness of your physical, muscular being. Muscular. That's all this system is. How contracted am I throughout my body in a muscular sense? How much of that can I let go of and see where it takes me? So the pelvis, down the back, into the pelvis, the waist, the pelvis, area of sexuality, waist elimination, very sensitive, potential area of embarrassment, desire, fears, control. So we may unconsciously or consciously be holding tension there. Think of it as a sort of clenching. On my count, see if you can let go of 1% of that muscular tension in the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. Very important in scanning to pay attention. How did that feel? What did that feel like? Can I do it again? Let's try. The pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. I took it this far. Can I take it this far? The pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, not only are you physically helping yourself by removing the restrictive, constrictive aspects of your musculature to allow all the organs to operate more freely and flow more freely, but you're also, by association, calming your mind. Because you can't put your full concentration into the release of muscular tension and think a thought at the same time. You can't contract and expand at the same time. Every time you release muscular tension, expand, you quiet your mind, the smallest amount. And one of the great things about a scanning session is you'll suddenly find 10, 15, 20 minutes in, the thoughts that you were obsessed with, the things that were, bothering you, troubling you, that you couldn't stop thinking about, have somehow dissipated and are gone. Because you've moved from a contractive, in this case, thinking state, into an expanded, open state, neutral state. And it's a journey, and you must be patient. And you must be happy with the most incremental, smallest muscular release, because once you've started down that path, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, you've started down that path. And every time you practice, you'll find yourself able to go further and further, until one day you'll come to an expanded state like you've never felt before. It'll be better than any high you've ever had from a drug, any high you've ever had from alcohol, any high you've ever had from leaving a masseuse or going to a therapist. You will feel a stillness, a calmness, a quiet that you've never experienced. It's not based on ideas or chemicals. It's not based on anything. You just managed to let go of so much of your structure, your name, your worries, your thoughts, your physical tension, that you come to a place of absolute quiet. Not only are you not thinking anything, but you are nobody. You will have let go of your very identity. All you will be is a human, physical being, breathing, hearing the sounds, feeling the air on your skin, simply existing. And it is a very peaceful place, because at that place you begin to realize that that's enough. I don't need anything in this moment. I just simply need to breathe and be. Unfortunately, when we're contracted, we tend to hold our breath. It's another defense mechanism. And so as you move into an expanded state, you'll find yourself wanting to, you'll feel that it's safe to breathe, and your body will then say, in that case, would you please? I need the oxygen. So you'll start to take breaths. You'll start to dial it down. As I say, it's like you were in this rushing river, this turbulent river, and you stepped out onto the banks just for a moment. There's no water anymore. There's nothing turbulent. You're just there. You can step back into that river when you need to. And of course, we all do need to step back into that river because that's our work, that's our job, that's our responsibilities. But for a moment, you could take a moment to see what it's like to just be. And the great thing about that state is that suddenly the options and possibilities become infinite because you're no longer restricted by your structures, your ideas, your politics, your religious beliefs, your responsibilities. Anything's possible. Anything's possible because you've started from zero. So it's a great place to go for inspiration. If you're an artist or creative person or a technician of some sort or any kind of profession where you need to solve problems, when you go to this place of neutrality, of nothingness, suddenly all sorts of things are worth considering that you had thought I couldn't consider. There's all sorts of options because now you're seeing everything. You're not judging. You're not evaluating. You're not saying I can't think about this or that. You're saying anything's possible. And so you'll find yourself smarter, more physically capable, less anxious, more calm. You're the same person. You're living the same life, but you're coming at it from an expanded place as opposed to a constricted, contracted place. Okay, so the last zone is we've done the pelvis. And again, I'm moving quickly through these because these sessions are for instructional purposes. But take as much time as you can or want to or care to. Set aside some time. And it's the funniest thing how difficult it is to set aside 15 minutes in our day to do nothing. It's wildly hysterical. I find myself laughing at myself. You can't find 15 minutes anywhere in your day to do nothing, not look at the internet, your phone, not watch TV, not eat. So you can't find 15 minutes? Of course you can. We're resistant because we don't want to let go. The last zone is zone 7, down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. Again, zone 7 and 8 are very powerful. And so you might spend more time with them. On my count, let go of the slightest amount of tension in your feet. And just again, on the count, focus on the feet, kind of assess where they're at. And then on my count, on the snap, let go of whatever tension you feel you're comfortable releasing. The feet, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and the feet. And you'll get better and better at this. Initially, you may find, I don't know how to let go of the tension in my feet. What does that even feel like? It's just this, 3, 2, 1, release. It's the same thing. It's just it's down at your feet. What you're going to get better at is focusing your attention on these different areas of your body. And it's a discipline. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. But I highly recommend that you do practice. Take the time, set aside the time to do the opposite of contraction, expansion. It's funny how frightening it is because we really feel like we must contract to survive. And to a large degree, that's true. You do have to get up in the morning, get dressed, go to work, pursue your career, make your money, maintain your relationships. You do. If you want to live on this earth, live this life, this is where we're at now. So you do. But you want to balance it with the reminder that without all of that, in an expanded state, a state of nothingness, you still exist. You don't have to be afraid you're going to disappear or go away. When you come to an expanded place, you're suddenly aware that yeah, I'll have more money sometimes and less money sometimes. I'll have more success in my career and less sometimes. I'll have problems I have to solve and sometimes I won't. But at the bottom of it, at the base of it all, is just me. And that's a beautiful thing, to be a human being. You're only going to get one shot at it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up. But somebody did, and here we are. So experience yourself. Experience yourself. And then take that renewed awareness into your contractive life. It will be richer for it. The feet, 3, 2, 1, and release. 3, 2, 1, and release. 3, 2, 1, and stillness and silence. I did a job years ago. I'm an actor, and it was a commercial. And I got on the set and immediately could tell the director didn't like me and wasn't happy with what I was doing. And it was supposed to be a big commercial, and I was hoping to make a lot of money from it, so I was terrified. I was obsessed with the idea that I might get fired. I wasn't pulling it off. It involved a certain type of performance that, I'm good at, but, what they wanted was very difficult. And I wasn't necessarily pulling it off as well as they liked. And I was just freaking out the whole day thinking about what it meant for me and my life and my career and this commercial and just everything about it, who liked me, who didn't like me. And I built a structure of thoughts, and I obsessed over them because that seemed like the solution, to think about it, to worry about it, to examine everyone around me, to see who was on my side, who was against my side, to try to predict what was going to happen, to think about what I may have done in the past to prevent this. I was in full contractive mode. And I went home that night, and the great thing was I got to such a state that I thought, well, this is insane. What am I doing here? What, should I just kill myself? I mean, is it that bad? And suddenly I passed through that fear to a place of, it's just life. If they fire me, they fire me. There'll be other jobs. This guy doesn't like me. I mean, I know I'm talented. I know what I'm doing. Maybe he has a problem. Maybe he's just not seeing it. And I got to a place where I literally didn't care. I didn't care because I pretty much let it go. I just went in the next day. It was a 2-day shoot. I went in the next day assuming that I was going to get fired. So why spend another day worrying about it? It was pretty much over. And I walked in, and I remember the makeup trailer. They'd kind of been derisive of me because they were all going, this guy, I can't pull it off. And they were and I walked in and I was like, hey. And they kind of looked at me like, what's the deal? This guy doesn't look scared anymore. I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And the day went incredible. And I was able to do the job to the guy's satisfaction. I never worried whether he liked it or not. I just did what I do. I just focused on my skills. I said, here's me. Here's who I am. I'll do the best I can. If it's not good enough, what can I tell you? I can only be myself. And the day went great. And the spot worked out great. And the whole world looked different. Everything about the set, the people, the job, everything looked completely different. The reason is because I had expanded. On some level, I wasn't doing this back then, but on some level, I had managed to get so contracted that I realized I was imploding, and I was just basically self-destructing, and that was not doing me any good. So I just basically said, I give up. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And that was an expanded state. That is an expanded state. When you no longer are judging things good or bad, successful or unsuccessful, what the future holds, what the past did. You're just being. I'll never forget that feeling. I walked into the dressing room, the makeup trailer that morning, a completely different person. I just didn't care. I loved acting. I wanted to do the job. I was willing to try again and do my best. But what anyone thought about me at that point just didn't matter anymore. The results just didn't matter anymore. And that was an amazing feeling. I never forgot it. And I always wondered, how did I do that? How did I get there? Well, subconsciously or unconsciously, I had expanded. I had let go of all my ideas, thoughts, worries. I didn't do it through scanning. I didn't know how to at that point. I wasn't doing that. But I just somehow instinctively sensed that I had become overly contracted and it was killing me. And I had to just let it all go. And I'm sure you've had that experience. It's a beautiful thing because we think if we let go, we'll perish. That's why starting scanning and practicing scanning can be so challenging, because our sense is that if we let go of all these things we're holding on to, our ideas, and take a moment to just be nothing, we will perish. The odd thing is you won't. You'll actually thrive. From an expanded state, the possibilities are limitless, and you can truly succeed because you've opened the door to everything. All possibilities, good and bad, and you're accepting of them. I became accepting of the fact that I was probably going to get fired that day. Yeah, that's probably going to happen. So I wasn't fearful. I just could look to my options. And one of my options was just go in and do as great a job as you can. And that's what happened. I never forgot that experience. Never forgot it. And I think about it now because that's what scanning does for me now. It's a technique, the muscular release that allows me to go to a place of nothingness. It's a reset of sorts. You're not completely letting go of your world, your life, but you're finding a way to reset, to come back to your original self, as I call it, where you just know who you are, you know how you feel, you know what you do, and it's incredibly pleasurable to experience yourself and all the good things about you and the bad, but to accept all that and to see how glorious it is just to exist and to pursue life. And then you re-enter the world of structures and contraction with great joy until such time as you become overly contracted and you have to pull yourself back. All we're doing is bringing ourselves back into balance through the incremental release of muscular tension. I don't know how I stumbled upon this. I really don't know. I've tried all kinds of things, meditations and so forth in my life, but I somehow at some point recognized that muscular release was the key, was the pathway to expansion. And it's kind of a dumb method. There's nothing intellectual about it. There's no thought process. There's no rationale. There'll never be a book written. I'll never write a book about it. There's nothing really to say about it except let go of muscular tension. Done. Done. Let go of muscular tension. That's it. Done. Now just do it over and over and over and over and over and over again till you bring your whole being into an expanded state. And then do it every day. Because we will always return to a contracted state. We have to live this life. If you stop trying, you will perish. If you want to, go ahead. You'll turn to dust and you'll come back as something else. But as long as we're going to fully live this life, surrounded by, buried in, swimming in contraction, our ideas, our books, our money, our name, our careers, our obstacles, our successes, our failures, if we want to live this life, you're going to go back into that contracted world. Great, but balance it with a sense of nothingness, which is where it all begins. Go back to the origins. Go back to your origins. Experience your full self, your original self as you are, with no definitions, no names, no titles, no bank accounts, nothing, just yourself as a human being. And take that into whatever you do, and it will be a beautiful thing because you will be a full human being. And you'll be more loving and more accepting, and people will want to be around you because you're not coming at them as an obstacle, you're coming at them as a part of life to be negotiated. So that's it. I'm going to just say again, scanning, spelled S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G. It's a made-up word just to distinguish it as a technique, but it references the idea of scanning the body for pockets of muscular tension. And that's all you do. You'll go through the zones, and you'll start again. You'll cycle through 10 times, 20 times. Having the patience to realize that you're having, if the harder it is, the more contracted you are. So if it's really difficult, you've hit gold, and keep going. But just the discipline and patience is all that's required. Stay with it and be patient with yourself. And you will find on those occasions where you move into an expanded state, you've never felt anything like it, and you're going to want to do it again and again and again, which is where I'm at. I'm stunned by how beneficial this process is, and that's why I share it. So the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. Squeeze, 3, 2, 1, release. That's it. Okay? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.